one last point of, I think, importance, and it has to do with the self and why social life for me in Seattle, Washington is a lot like going to the laundromat without any detergent, you know? People might not be willing to give up that gooey, ooey, jewy, gooey, mooey soap to help someone get their laundry completed. The tension, the friction, the suffocating consciousness in the world has to do with these old notions and systems and processes of brain, mind, self, ego, ethos, shadow, and so much attention paid to specific stuff like emotion and saying, psychology, and less brain, body, and mind, brain and mind, psychological cognition. Huh, okay, psychological cognition. Now what? Well, the wolf to start with, the psychological cognition of what those eyes are doing to the brain and mind and body. Freaking me out. The wolf has not eaten since the goat. And the police took it away the other day. So now the wolf's hungry. What's the wolf gonna eat? I've got a service animal who does not ever stop playing Batman. Soft Batman. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. And I gotta restrain the little monster, like, hey, you need to pay attention and have awareness in this loss. Gone to a safe place. Because the wolf, the world, and the wolf, just across the ashram room, my home. Outside, way down the block, where there's graffiti everywhere. People who are selling drugs and get angry at people who wear camouflage and sing out loud and say they're going to kill them for singing out loud the next time they see them. Can be understood by the self, and the ego can be, kept to a minimum. The, notion of God can be thought about as a belief system with processes like prayer to help keep a person, like me, safe in the world. And also, there's psychological cognition. Recognizing the emotions happening, the fear, the scared, terror from a threat of death and murder. A vicious, goat-killing wolf wearing a dream catcher. Psychological cognition lets the body, brain, and mind not only communicate with the wolf in the world, you know, to tell other people, like, hey, you got to help me. That wolf is coming after me, you know? And, you know, no one's around, but the service animal just goes, you know. And then they start talking. They're like, oh, you thought we were going to fuck with you. We thought you were going to get so scared. But no swear. No bad word, you know? However, the description gets said with some comedic, you know, humor, or plain old, you know, flight. Because the wolf, you know, missed me again, you know, but it got the camera. It's on the screen, you know, the wolf is in front of your eyes, you know. It's like, oh, almost got me again, but, you know, I stand just a little bit over here and the wolf just goes right on over the shoulder. And then, you know, further along, you know, the psychological cognition, brain, mind, awareness, attention. Seeing, you know, more concentrated and focused, the wolf being a tapestry and a part of, you know, lighthearted fun. And the lava lamp, an object similar to the tapestry on the wall. Imaginary, crazy, bizarre, strange, otherworldly. And then, you know, you have psychology, the self. An example of the psychological ideal of the self a person has in their mind. They want to be the wolf, in other words. And, you know, they say, I think spiritual traditions, not the sheep, or maybe it's just in motivational videos, but, you know, be the wolf, not the sheep. In psychiatry, oh, well, you know, I'm rocking back and forth. I'm mildly autistic and ugly as heck. My social worker told me the earlier part of the day. Baggy eyes, ugliness, disgustingness, aggression. And psychiatric treatment for these kinds of problems. Depakote, lithium, olanzapine, Zoloft for that fat, chubby, you know, depressed, ugly person. Medical marijuana to help your aching bones. And also psychological cognition for the world. And consciously being aware the chemicals, the habits, the thoughts, and most importantly, the thinking. The thinking towards a purpose and a goal like MIT, or the reason to get laid, to get some more methamphetamine and crack cocaine. The psychological cognition to see the refrigerator and the energy to fill it full with vitamin, food, healthy stomach choices, yogurts and kombuchas, kimchi, bone broth, eggs, a little bit of meat, and lots of vegetables. For especially when the body, brain, and mind get tired, fatigued, exhausted from working and doing have you ever videos with no time restraint. Similar, to how they have in psychology and psychiatry, like, oh, I don't know, you might be manic, I think hypomanic, you might be having a bad mood, being aggressive to two men, and not being able to psychologically cognitize, having not the psychological cognition, but the psychological and psychiatric disturbance. And there you have some of the restriction of freedom, necessary in some instances and beneficial for the world, to get people who climb the top of trees and just sit up there and, could fall and hurt someone. And also people who are murderous and want to kill, people who go downtown and just pull out guns and start, pulling triggers. Very similar to the political social world with, the revolutionary and the more traditional politics. The two have benefits for both. The psychology and the psychiatry are the research and the data and the monkey experiments and the rat experiments and the animals who have, maybe not always been treated good, getting, humbleness and respect for them being so simple and, dumb for some people's belief system. So that we can understand the reward system and stuff like this iPhone and stuff like time and how the brain understands the numbers, the limits, our sleep, our chemicals, our brain and body. And no matter how smart and intelligent a person gets, you can't hurt having a little psychology, having that black belt freaking mind. Not just, staring at the UFC and going, dang, that's cool. But reading books, but practicing and doing what your body allows, what your brain and mind need. And then the limits get more attainable and the health more obvious than just going straight into the knowledge. And then like me 10 years later going, oh man, that was a lot of work. And shortening the amount of effort and energy spent learning and having psychological cognition and psychology and not needing as much psychiatry and medicine to be well in the world and in the body. The end.